Shoulder flexion, positional isometrics. So if you're doing shoulder flexion, positional isometrics, obviously you have a bit of a passive and active gap that's a tad too large. So what we're going to do, we're going to find our active range of motion. We're going to get 15 degrees past that, do a pales and rails contraction, go another 15 degrees past that, do another rep, do another 15 degrees past that, do another rep, until we get to the end of your passive range. So this is shoulder flexion. Now I don't have big hypermobile, I don't have a lot of shoulder flexion as it is, so bear with me as I show you how to do this, because it's going to be a little bit different obviously for you. So shoulder flexion. So what I want to do is I want to find my active range first. So I'm obviously using a bench here in the quadruped position. You may need something a bit higher if you're doing this in quadruped, if you're hypermobile, to get the range that you need. I will show you how to sort of adjust with your body, so you probably won't, but you may. So anyway, for me, my active range is really simple. I go to here, I hold that, and I come down, and there's my active range. Pretty simple. But what I like to do here is, if I hold my body sort of horizontal here, that's as far as I can go. But if I do a little bit of a rotation where I lift that other shoulder up and this shoulder down, I get into a bit of a bigger stretch through the sort of lat area, and that's what I want. Rather than straight up, I want that, rather than straight up, I actually want that, because this will give that a way bigger stretch. And that's usually where you're going to get more flexion, just out to the side. I don't want to go all the way out here, but just a little bit of a rotation. So get here, active, and I'm going to actually rotate a bit there, drop down. There's my active range. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop down my body. So now I'm actually at the end of my passive range, but this is where you would do it. This would be your first position. So at this point, you're going to brace your core, take a breath, and use all of this tissue along this side to drive your hand down into that bench as hard as you possibly can for 10 seconds. Once that 10 seconds is up, you're going to do everything you can to lift that hand off the bench without letting your shoulder move. Everything you can, 10 seconds, and then relax. Once you've relaxed, you want to get into another bigger stretch, another 10 or 15 degrees past. So as you start going down, you're going to have a huge range, likely, if you're doing this as a positional isometric. One of the things you might need, obviously, as I said, is a higher bench. But if I go to here, if I just get a bit of flexion in my spine, I've now put myself right at the end of my passive range. I haven't moved anything, I haven't moved my shoulders, I've just changed the flexion in my spine. So you can flex in your spine, and then from here, literally lift your hips up, flex, and then drop your shoulders down, get that little bit of a twist. From there, you'll probably find that even with a bench like this, you'll be able to get all the angle that you need. So once again, what you're doing, get your active range. So here, little rotation, that's my active range. Drop till I get it. I'm just gonna use my spine flexion here, that's my 10 or 15. Do a 10-second pales followed by a 10-second rails. So pales is driving my hand in the floor using all this tissue. Rails is using the opposite tissue, the regressive tissue, to try to get my hand up. Rest, relax, go into another 10 or 15 degrees. I'm cheating by bending my elbow just so I can show you. And then another 10 or 15. And do as many reps as is required for you to go through your passive range. So as an example, if you've got a 15-degree difference, you'll do 2 reps. You'll get your active, and then you go 10 or 15 pass, do a rep there, another 10 or 15 pass, do a rep there, and that'll be the end of your passive range. If you've got 60 degrees, you'll do 4 reps. Just make sure that when you get to the end of your passive range, get to the end of the range. Don't like force a bigger stretch. The goal isn't to force more passive range, it's to get to control of your active range. Enjoy.